Good morning. I can call this public forum to order. 8:30 a.m., July 17, 2020. Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda for the 9 a.m. meeting. Citizens wishing to address items on the agenda, please sign up to speak to such item at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Speakers, please refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or any other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. First speaker this morning is James. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is James
Morning.
Welcome. I'm at 502 North Green Street. I'm here to complain about the property at 305 Godwin, which is not being properly maintained by the county. After I purchased the property in September of 2017, I was maintaining the property up until March, probably around March of 19, when the county told me to stop cutting the grass, and they were going to maintain the grass. The grass has not been cut since September of last year, and it is so high. Rats running through, I'm sure snakes are in there, and I have gone through the code enforcement and I complained and asked them to cut it. And the road crew has not been in there to cut the grass, and I'm here in public forum to complain and let you know that, hey, I was cutting the grass and maintaining it. And if the county is not gonna maintain it, let me do it and I'll charge you. Since that's what you all do to the people, if the people doesn't maintain it, you charge them. If you can't maintain it, let me maintain it and I'll give you a charge until this litigation is settled. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, sir. Thank you. Next speaker is Craig Marin.
It's actually Morin, sir, but a lot of people butcher my name. My name's Craig Morin. I live at 5624 Columbia Avenue in Milton. The reason I'm here today is I'm a concerned citizen. I do a lot of business, a lot of work in Escambia County and Jeff Bergosh's district, mainly in Beulah. The city is trying to push their mandated ordinance with the mask on Escambia County. I want to kind of give you all some statistics here real quick. Mandated seatbelts kills people every 2 minutes. Not the seatbelt so much, but a car crash that happens every 2 minutes, somebody dies. That's over 4,000 people a day die of a car accident because of the mandated seatbelt laws that we're supposed to follow. The number one killer in this country right now is heart disease. Every 37 seconds, somebody dies of heart disease in this country, not COVID, okay? We live in a free nation, okay, where we're supposed to vote on things and not be told what to do. Go into a grocery store, had to put a mask on. I work outside in this 93-degree heat every day. If I got to put a mask on to go inside a Tom Thumb to buy a drink, you're actually punishing me, the healthy gentleman that doesn't need a mask because I'm not sick, and I work every day. You know, so all I ask is you just take the people of this county into consideration, the people that work outside, and not follow suit with the city of Pensacola, because also you will lose business, because I myself and many other citizens will go outside the county to buy it. It affects the business owners, which my friend here is a business owner. He's here to stand with me. He's not going to speak, but he's a business owner. All these mandates y'all are trying to enforce on the people are affecting everybody. And I'm just here as a concerned citizen, somebody that was born and raised in this town, and I just don't want to be forced to do anything. I also have a medical condition that prevents me from wearing a mask, and I know a lot of these places are not going to care about that. And I know of the ADA Act, and I'm sure y'all do too. But the problem is if y'all force something, you know, it's going to be, it's not right to be forced to do anything. All right, and also read this morning that the Georgia's governor, he overrid every one of those mandated masks in the state of Georgia. All right, this is a free country. All right, many people have fought and died for me to be able to stand here and speak to y'all. And there's a way to go about things, and forcing anything on anybody is not the way to go about doing it, because you will cause more civil unrest in people, and you will actually screw the psyche of our kids up, man. It's going to affect the kids. My 6-year-old daughter asked me, why are people wearing a mask? Because they're worried about something that really they know nothing about. We think we do, but we don't. Heart disease kills more people than COVID, okay? I'm just here as a concerned citizen. I appreciate all y'all's time, and I'm actually took time off of work to come here because I care about my city, I care about my county, I care about Northwest Florida and the United States, and I'm not going to just sit around and have anybody tell me what I can and can't do with my body, okay? So thanks for your time. Have a good one.
Thank you. Next speaker is Eric Gleaton.
I'm Eric Gleaton, 102 East 9 Mile Road, Pensacola, 32534. I'm here today to talk about the property on Pine Forest Road that we all know about that's been discontinued, taken off the agenda for 2 or 3 times. As a property owner, I don't feel like it's fair. We started in October with this planning. The developer is a A1 developer, a $50 million project. And I don't understand, because if this doesn't go, I can use the land as commercial and put bars and Dollar Generals and most anything. And this would be a neat, clean, high-priced apartments. I'm not being threatened, but I have gotten calls from people out of Tallahassee that build affordable homes, and they get a grant from the federal government or something, and it says it does not need county commissioner approval. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know affordable housing is a big deal right now. And I just hate to see that happen on that pretty piece of property.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Sure.
Eric, it was dropped from the agenda. It was on the agenda to be scheduled, and it was my understanding that you all dropped it so that you could go and meet with the residents. Did that meeting happen?
No, sir, that was not in the plans.
Okay, because that was what was communicated to me and to us. Because we
Well,
had it on the agenda,
I'm
and
not-
it was pulled.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. And the other critical issue that I want to make sure that you know is your previous consultant, I guess I'll use for lack of a better word, met with me, and he said we can go this way and change the flue, or we can keep it as it is. Either way, it doesn't matter. We want to do this, but either way, it doesn't matter. So I went to the residents because they came to me and they were very concerned, and I told them exactly what your consultant told me, which is, hey, we can leave it this way and it'll be commercial, and we can do mixed use, we can do, or they want to change the flue so they can do an apartment. And so because he gave me that information, I passed it to the residents in good faith, because I knew either which way would work for you, according to your consultant. And they said, hey, we're fine with commercial. We know that would be a very, very intensive use of the property, but we don't want apartments. And so I came back and I said, okay, well, they'll go with the commercial. And then apparently that consultant didn't have your authority to say that. And that's what's kind of created a ruckus among those residents.
I didn't even know the meeting was happening that night on it. So, and I don't have a consultant. I'm just the owner of the land, trying to sell it into better Pensacola.
No, and I totally understand that. And Eric, I'm trying to work between the residents. I mean, the
You know,
residents.
it's going to create some good jobs.
Yes, sir.
For a long period of time, and the base of the property tax is going to go tenfold.
And the only other thing that I would be remiss if I didn't mention is, of course, that's part of the study area where we put together a 9-member committee, and we've been working for over a year. We just now were funded we're going to be funded today $300,000 to do a master plan. That's right in the area where that master plan and those citizens have given over a year of their time. So, I was reluctant
How many
to
people's in that committee?
9 members of Escambia County, 9
How
members.
many, 900 people?
Oh, what?
How many people are in the committee?
There's nine members of the community serve in the community.
What type of attendance are you having?
Well, we had a survey that was put out, and we had over 6,000 responses. So the community is watching, and they're paying close attention. So I say all that to say, I'm reluctant. I mean, this board's going to make a vote, but I'm reluctant to do anything that would prejudice the work that they're doing, because that's in the middle of their study area. That's part of that big northwest portion of District 1. So, the wrench got thrown in by your consultant.
I don't have a consultant.
Scott Miller came and represented that he was
Well,
working on your
He
behalf.
didn't have the authorization to do that.
Well, That, well, I'm sorry, Horace? Yeah, okay, so that's what happened, and that's the history. But here's the good news.
Jeff, sorry, just a second. I think he was representing the buyer.
I think so too.
Okay, well, which way it was, he came, and that's what he said, and that, you know. But the long and the short of it is, I believe on the agenda today, we're gonna schedule the hearing, and then we'll have the vote next month at a meeting next month. I believe that's what will happen today.
Well, it's been scheduled 2 or 3 times, so what's the chance of it getting taken off again?
I don't intend to. I don't intend to take it off. It's gonna be scheduled, because I understand at our last meeting, we went through this in detail. It's gonna get scheduled, we'll have the hearing, and then it gets transmitted to Tallahassee, and then it comes back for final approval from the board.
And then I want to ask a question. How many people show up to this committee you have put together?
It varies from time to time, but citizens participate by
Like
the
2 or
survey.
3? maybe?
No, more than that, but citizens participate by the survey that they took, and we had over 6,000 completed surveys. A lot of folks are not attending meetings, Eric, because of COVID right now. I mean, there's a lot of people that are not.
I
But a lot of
understand.
people
There's
watch
a lot of
online.
people needing jobs too, so I understand.
I'm with you on that. So I'm trying to work through it. But we were told last time it was pulled from the agenda because you wanted to go have a meeting with the residents.
What happened the next time you took it off?
Well, it's gonna be scheduled. And then,
The
then
last one was not. You took that one off.
because we were told you were gonna go schedule a meeting with the residents. That's what we were told.
Thank you very much for all of your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the 300,000, I did not see it. It wasn't on the agenda
It's supposed to
originally.
be an add-on according to Janice.
It's an add-on.
It is on there now.
Okay. Is that
But
what
it was,
okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
it was not on there yesterday, but, all right, I'm sorry. Next speaker is Will Dunaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and
Yes, sir.
Commissioners. I'm also speaking on the issue of LSA 2019-05, because as you correctly pointed out, it's not on the agenda today. It was pulled on the consent agenda on July the 2nd, and we had no idea we would have been there to prevent that or try to prevent that. I want to set the record straight and run you through the timeline for this event. October 8, 2019, that's why the LSA is labeled 2019. Mr. Gleaton made his application for this future land use, which is a downzoning from commercial to MUU. November the 22nd, 2019, your staff approved the review, including the legal sufficiency. It was set for public hearing. On that public hearing on January the 7th of 2020, 12 people came and spoke, for and against. It went through the whole entire hearing, and at the end, Commissioner Mergosh asked to table it, said he would bring it up at a later date. You voted to table it. We were engaged after that by the buyer, so if there was any misunderstanding prior to that, we set it straight when we made application for written communication on January the 15th. On February the 6th, we appeared before you under that written communication. You debated and you voted over the objection. I mean, you voted 4-0 to reset this hearing for the transmittal. That was reset for 1st March, and then we hit a COVID delay. Not your fault, not the applicant's fault, but we had a COVID delay for March the 5th, April the 2nd, May was delayed. We were on the consent agenda for June 4th to be heard on the June 18th. Because we had committed to do a traffic study, we were finalizing that. We asked that it move, and because you had a very contentious hearing on June the 18th, that's why it ended up on the July the 2nd consent agenda, which would have had us here on the transmittal hearing today. We got the call on Friday. Thank you, Mr. Jones, for letting us know about the event that occurred on Thursday, the 2nd, right before the holiday. We watched that hearing, and quite frankly, we're concerned as to when this hearing is going to be set. The idea that we're waiting for a study, a master study, this has been a year for a transmittal hearing on a land use change. Please do not delay this. Give the applicant the opportunity to have the hearing, which he actually had in January the 7th, and everybody voiced their opinions one way or the other, but you tabled it. So please, set the hearing in August.
Mr. Dunaway,
Well,
we're adding that to the agenda. Horace, can you please step to the podium? I discussed this with them yesterday. If you saw the meeting in July, you saw that Commissioner Berry and myself, we negotiated, we kind of planned to have a $300,000 add-on to finish my study in conjunction with adding this back on. Horace, is this not an add-on today to schedule the hearing for these gentlemen? Because we talked.
No, it is not scheduled to schedule a hearing, but it would be for the discussion. The motion was that it be talked about today.
Okay.
Yes, but it could be talked about today for either the first meeting in August or the second meeting. That was the motion that was made on July the 2nd.
Okay. So my misunderstanding. So here's the thing, we're going to do that.
300,000.
Commission,
Yes.
Yeah, but the budget amendment for the 300,000
Is
is
on.
the add-on, yes, sir.
Okay. So it's coming. I mean, we're going to talk about it today. We'll probably schedule the first meeting in August. So it's coming.
Commissioner
Gosh, it's been
Bergosh,
coming since the.
Yes, wait,
so
excuse
Will,
me
one
one second.
second. Delana.
I just wanted to clarify that the motion from July 2nd was to have this brought back next month to the first meeting in August on the 6th.
August 6th.
The hearing.
Okay, my mistake. August 6th, Will.
All right, so the motion was to have the public hearing scheduled for August 6th? That was the motion? Assuming the study was funded today, which that's on the agenda, so everything should be fine for,
There was another motion for a different item to have this SBA brought back today, which it is.
so without action by the board today, the public hearing is scheduled for August 6th.
How many public
No.
hearings do we have to have for it?
Okay.
There'll be a total of 2 public hearings. One we have, then it goes to Tallahassee for transmittal.
I'm not sure, Delana. This is not the Tom Hammond case?
No,
This
it's
is-
not.
This is the Pine Forest flu?
Yes, and this is the motion, it says, move to accept growth management, reading the motion directly from July the 2nd. Move that we direct administrator to execute an interfund for the amount of $300,000. Then it says, and bring that back to the board July the 16th, which is today, add on today. And it also says, it says, to allow funding of the master plan, and it says, at that point, we will schedule. That was the motion for the large-scale map amendment.
Mr. Jones, you're right. I was referring to the rezoning case. Allison, I'm sorry about that. I had the wrong one pulled up. Sorry.
So we do need to take action to
Yeah,
schedule the public hearing.
my
Okay.
first instinct was right. We were going to schedule it today. So we'll schedule it today, and we'll schedule it for next month. Is
So
that acceptable? I mean,
The only reason, Mr. Chairman, that we were here today is because we had no other way to be heard, because it wasn't on the agenda. We didn't know what the motion was.
Sure.
and There was clearly some confusion.
That's fine,
Thank
Will. All right, so I would, Allison, so that needs to be an add-on, not taken up during growth management. It needs to be an add-on at the end of the meeting to schedule the public hearing. Or
You
can we
don't
do
have
it?
to even do it as an official item, you know.
Okay,
You
just
can
give direction.
You can just do a
Okay.
motion you could do it right after you vote
Okay.
on 2-30.
Okay, on the
And
budget
just say,
amendment?
okay,
Okay,
now
that's
that that's
fine.
been
That's fine.
funded.
And then he will set the date for the hearing?
August the 6th is the first BCC meeting in August. That's when you would normally have your growth management report. It requires as this flu is going to require 2 hearings, a transmittal hearing, which is what he said, he wants the transmittal hearing. Then it goes off to DEO, then it'll come back to us approximately 3 months, 4 months later. And then we have our second hearing, assuming the state didn't have a problem with it.
And I think we thought that would give your committee time to wrap up.
yeah, that's
And so that's what we did.
Thank you, Will.
So I guess clarification for Eric is it'll be on the first meeting.
in August. First meeting.
First public hearing, yeah, or the public hearing will be on August 6th, yes. All right, we have 2 more speakers in public forum. First speaker is Michael Lowry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Lowry, 4302 Yarmouth Place, District 4, President Business Agent of the ATU, and former employee of Escambia County Area Transit for 25 years. First thing I would like to say is my thoughts and prayers are with a former 39-year employee, James McIntyre, who just recently retired. He had COVID. He's in ICU in Sacred Heart Hospital. He is has a ventilator and has been induced into a coma. And my thoughts and prayers are for him. He has spoken in front of you in the past. He is an amazing operator that served this country for this county. And I'm a little shook up by it because he's a personal friend, and I just sat with him just 2 weeks ago, sat next to him and had a nice discussion with him. To hear this, I'm very upset. As far as masks are concerned with the county, I understand you don't want to mandate them, but you should put policies in place that require certain things. Like, for instance, I heard the comment made that, you know, they shouldn't be required to wear a mask in an office. That's fine if it's their own office and they're by themselves. But if you're in a vehicle and you're forced to ride with someone else in a vehicle, everyone should have to wear a mask. That should be mandated. It's not happening. We have bus operators at ECAT and equipment operators that aren't wearing masks because they choose not to. So other operators are forced to ride with those individuals occasionally without a mask. That's not fair to them. With that being said, we also think it should be mandated on the buses that all passengers should wear a mask. That is common in transit systems now across this state and across this country. It's for the safety and security and the health of all people riding that bus. Next thing I'd like to talk about is the buyout for senior operators, 30 plus years at Escambia County Area Transit. I will be sending you an email of their version of what they feel was offered to them so that you will have that. Because I don't necessarily, they've come to me and felt they don't feel comfortable that management will convey their message properly. The third thing is I want to talk about the $10.1 million stimulus for the CARES stimulus transit funding. The ATU was very relevant in participating in achieving the $25 billion in Congress. Our international president from the ATU actually testified in front of Congress during that fight for that money. We think it's relevant that while there's $10.1 million given to this county, we should have the opportunity to have a voice regarding it. When I look at your own application, it's kind of vague in a lot of areas, so we're concerned about that. One thing says that you're going to buy a bunch of security cameras for about $10,000 a bus. If you can afford $10,000 for security cameras, you can afford $5,000 to put up a bus barrier to protect the bus operators. Mr. Chairman, can I finish real quickly? I appreciate it.
Very quickly.
Okay. Hazard pay. We think there should be discussions on hazard pay for not only ECAT, ECCT employees, but county employees.
Mike, about
Yes.
15 seconds.
And the last thing is labor negotiations. When are we going to get some more dates? What's so hard at looking at a calendar and letting us know when we can have new dates? That was
Thank you.
promised to us. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and Mike, please send my wishes to Mr. McIntyre. Him and Carol are good people I've known.
I speak to her every day.
All right, thank you.
All right. Board, the last speaker is Nick Gradia.
Morning, everybody. How we
Morning.
doing? Chief John Eversole of the Chicago Fire Department once said, "Our department makes 1,120 calls a day. You know how many of those calls the public expects perfection on? 1,120. Nobody calls the fire department and says, 'Send me 2 dumb firemen in a pickup truck.' In 3 minutes, they want 5 brain surgeon decathlon champions to come out and solve all the problems." I say that to say this, public trust in our profession and what we do in public safety is paramount. It's critical. And when somebody works to destroy that public trust, it's unacceptable. I learned of a community meeting, took place maybe a couple weeks ago, somewhere in that time frame. The topic of the closure of the Paradise Beach Station on Bower Road came up. What led to it, what's going on since then, what's going on with mutual aid agreement with Lillian. We experienced a fire out there where Lillian was unable to respond. How did this happen? Why? All those questions concern citizens. For some reason, Commissioner, you decided to insinuate that former Fire Chief Pat Grace was to blame for the closure of the station or played a heavy role in it. I don't know why we're kicking a former employee and tarnishing his reputation. That's unacceptable. You then went on to accuse the union of having something to do with maybe preventing Lillian from responding to that. In essence, you're accusing employees of intentionally endangering the civilian lives and property of Escambia County. And that's unacceptable. It's despicable behavior. To even insinuate it, to even speak in a manner in which it can be perceived that way, and this is coming from citizens that attended the meeting. So obviously the perception that was taken in was that. You have repeatedly attacked career firemen. You may not like me, you may not like the union, and that's fine. It's okay. It's no problem. But you have to understand we are still employees. We have a very important job, and you should be incredibly careful to not do anything to tarnish public trust in what we do. And the behavior is unacceptable. If you want to address it, clear it up, that's fine. I have a hard time believing that these citizens would have contacted me and fabricated all of this and made this up. So whatever message you're putting out is incredibly inaccurate. It's being misperceived. We already know that some of the information you put out regarding the closure of the station, the intent or what will come from the mutual aid agreement is inaccurate. I fully believe we should foster relationships with outside agencies and should have mutual aid agreements. But to believe that another municipality is going to prioritize our citizens or our needs over their own is irresponsible, frankly. Nothing against Lillian at all. I mean, we work with Gulf Breeze, we work with DOD, Pensacola, multiple agencies that are very good to us, we have good relationships with. But, you know, unfortunately, they can't always be there. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, Nick, here's the thing. You weren't at the meeting, so you're bringing in hearsay. I didn't say any of that. What you're saying is a lie. I would never denigrate what you and your men do. We can have disagreements.
I didn't say you.
No, listen, you had your minute. You had your minute. Now, you had your minute. Now you're going to hear me.
Okay.
We can have our disagreements, and we can disagree. We're going through bargaining right now, and I know that's very difficult for you. But the fact of the matter is, I don't denigrate anyone. I don't tell lies. 2 years ago, they came into my office, 2.5 years ago, and said, we got to close the station. We're losing the real estate. We got to close it. I said, well, what's the plan? And we had a long discussion about it. The fire chief at the time and the director of public safety said, we respond to 1 fire per year at that station, 1 structure fire. We're gonna get coverage. We're looking at Pleasant Grove and expanding and moving that station so it'll cover. They came with a plan, and then we had a lot of turnover, and the plan didn't happen. But you could ask the administrator right now. We're working on a plan to get some coverage out there. We understand the Lillian Fire Department did not respond. We're still looking into that. We had a mutual aid agreement, Nick, and when a fire happens, they're supposed to come. Just like the Navy comes and backs us up all the time. Just like you back up other departments. It's what we do. So I would be careful about coming in here with hearsay, because what you said is a lie. It's not true, and it wasn't said. And if you feel that strongly about it, you can put those people in contact with me. Let me know who said it, because it's not true. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep. And Board, our last speaker this morning before we begin is Senator Broxton. Thank you for being here, and yeah, please come forward. You've got the podium and the floor for as candidly as long as you'd like. We appreciate your partnership, and it's very difficult to deliver without the support of our local delegation, with you being at the head of that. So thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, you know, most of the time when we chat, it's about what we can do for this county, economic development. And thank you for your partnership. I always depend on the board to give me directions on what's good for Escambia County. Today I'm here really as an effort to help me understand our role and what we should be doing during this pandemic. We have opened back the economy, which is good. We had to. And now we have a dilemma in that in opening, it's created more virus. The good news is that today, there'll be probably an additional 10,000 added to that list, which represents probably another 100,000 that have the virus. We know that over 300,000 people in Florida have had the virus. The great news is that 97% plus of those folks will recover. The 3% that will not recover are people that, in most cases, have underlying health conditions. These are not just people that are old and are in nursing homes. These are people like you and I that have a health problem, and at the worst time in their life, they're subject to a virus that could kill them. So what are we doing? I think nationally, we've heard some good news this week about coming up with a remedy, a vaccine, but it's going to take time. We know that we're in a much different places in our 3 major hospitals here in Escambia County than we were back in April and May when we had people come in, and really there was more fear in the system, not only from the people providing the services, but for the people coming in, of what were we really looking at. We are in a better place today in Escambia County than we were 3 months ago. And why is that? Because we've come up with treatments that are working for the people that are the most severely at risk. One of those treatments is convalescent plasma. We are in a desperate need. In the last 3 weeks, according to One Blood, their need for convalescent plasma has gone up by 800%. So what that means is, if you were to contract this virus and that you were one of the unlucky people that it had a major impact on, and you went to the hospital, they would have to make a decision on whether to use that convalescent plasma for you or someone else, because it's simply not available. So what can we do as leaders? The public has given you the microphone, not only to speak today, but to speak many, many times during your service. Facebook, your webpage. I'm asking you to join with me in signing a pledge, which I've signed, and it simply says, I will give blood during this pandemic every 60 days. Why every 60 days? Because you can't give but every 56 days. So that gives you 4 days to think about it. I have signed the pledge. I've given my blood yesterday. I want you to make that pledge, and I'm going to every county I represent and asking every elected official to put it on their webpage, to put it on their Facebook, to encourage all their constituents that we are in a war and we need volunteers. We primarily need volunteers who've had the virus, and we're making an effort through the hospitals and through the blood banks to reach out to these folks and not offend their HIPAA rights. But we've got to have them. The magnificent part of this virus is once you get it and you recover, you have an antibody. And that antibody is worth a life. We need to encourage people to do what they have to do and come forward and give their blood. In the meantime, because of universities and schools are out, which is the major supply of the voluntary programs now, we're in a massive shortage of blood in general. So I have these forms here. I'm going to leave you 100. I'd like you to put it on the county website. I'd like to see every employee may be given that opportunity, the ones that are healthy enough to do it. And let's enter into the trenches to fight the battle the way we can. Let's show the example as elected officials that we're willing to give our literal blood to help save our constituency. And we're in the process of working out an agreement. If this program goes well, which I think it will, what happens to that blood? Will it stay in Escambia County? We're going to make sure that when we give our proportionate share over what we normally give, that it will stay and help our citizens. So will you help me to help the people that we represent, to use what the people have given you as the authority, as the voice piece, to say we're going to do our part, and we're going to show you the example. And we're going to go to every Rotary Club, every major employer, and give them the same message, that we're in a war. We think that in a year we'll be in a much different position, but we're in a desperate position now. And what does this really mean? It means that we're allowing all those people that are healthy to go back to work. As they go back to work, we're going to see more virus. If we do our part, though, we can take care of the people that want to work and the people that are sheltered and cannot work and are in fear of their life. So we solve both problems. We take care of the people that are working, keep our economy strong, and we allow those folks that cannot do anything other than protect themselves to have a backup if they get this virus and it becomes life-threatening. My goal is that we reduce the 3% mortality in Florida. down to 1 or 2%. And we can do it if we all join this war. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Wonderful message, Senator. Thank you for being here. I don't know if any of my colleagues have any comments, but Commissioner May?
No, Senator, I want to thank you and Kevin. I see Kevin in the back. And
Absolutely.
to have a great delegation and have a friend across the aisle that supports us is very important to local government. And I join you in supporting you in any efforts that you're doing.
Thank you. Sign the pledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Kevin, thank you for being here in the back. We appreciate you. Our board, we're a couple minutes past 9. Without objection, I'm just going to adjourn this and begin our meeting. Public forum is ended. You can call this regular meeting, Board of County Commissioners, July 16, 9:07 a.m. to order. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. Speaker will be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers, please refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or any other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion will be limited to board members and questions raised by the board. The invocation this morning is Commissioner Bender.
Yes, sir, thank you. I have